Hi guys. I'm really sorry that it's still us. We did not lie, by the way. Pastor Angie will be back, but on another Mwenyenchi Monday. But for now, we're still boys in blue, as you can see.
Yes.
And we still have Maxi, we still have Duas, myself is Mutua, and we have George Sarah. So gentlemen,
yes,
we have been talking about MID. And people are wondering, you've been talking about awards, and we've not even discussed who are these gentlemen and what have they really done to merit any award of any sort. So maybe Duas, Chairman, tell us, what is the criteria?
Right, like we said in earlier videos, the criteria is quite simple. We're just looking for men who've impacted society positively.
Yeah.
And it could be anyone in the spectrum. It could be celebrity or not, preferably not. The better sort you can raise your, we just want to
raise your profile.
Raise your profile, and also you feel that actually what you're doing, the little you're doing, is very important to someone in society. So that people want to recognize. So we had like 9 to 10 awardees this time. And it would cut across. We actually, there's some in education, there's some in entertainment, there's some in the politics, in business. You know, so it was quite a broad spectrum. Religion, it was a broad spectrum because it didn't go one route. It's whichever route it is, whoever impacts.
In environment.
In environment.
Oh yeah, that was a guy.
There were doctors.
Yeah, so maybe you can just delve into a couple of the guys that you awarded and what's so special about them.
I can mention 2 quick ones. There was a gentleman known as Ernest Tomboy. I think a few of you probably know him. He is a gentleman who has a very interesting life. So he's an USIU alumnus, and him and his wife, his now wife, met while they were in campus, and they were doing peer education programs there, and they chose to live a pure life while dating.
Please quantify pure life.
Pure life is...
You can be drinking Dasani and that's pure life.
So they chose to live a life of chastity. So he runs a blog called Penstrokes, and he has a ministry to men, and both men and young people generally, just encouraging people to walk the same path of chastity. And his ministry has really grown leaps and bounds, and he's an unsung hero in the sense that he has chosen to ensure that he can encourage men who are addicted to issues like pornography, masturbation, and everything of that nature to actually walk the path to get out of that, and use biblical principles and just life skills to get out of that. And he's been doing that for a while. Another quick one I would like to mention is Honorable John Carrier. He was also awarded in absentia, but he was awarded not just because of his role as an honorable member of parliament for Dagoretti South, is it? But also just who he has been in the entertainment industry. If you remember Ridiculous, back then,
you know, you should say KJ. I don't know, guys are thinking Honorable John Carey.
Yes,
that?
He's KJ of Ridiculous.
Yes.
And back then, I remember he being on Ridiculous and working out something that this country had not seen. I remember we all used to enjoy TV comedy, but TV comedy back then was Mama Kayai and Ojuang and stuff like that. But then they brought a real stand-up comedy. And, you know, they were teasing the president, they were teasing Kamotho, they were teasing, they were doing this Dombolo dance. And they really entertained Kenya through a difficult post-election period time, through difficult election periods, through difficult transitions, and their comedy was really the thing that glued Kenya together. So he received an award for that, and also an award for just continuing in rising to the top of the advertising industry, and then continuing also to rise to the top against all odds of the political industry for politics as a young man. And now, you know, after being beaten once, being beaten twice, and then returning back to run for elections. So I'm sure there are many others in this and in previous awards.
And you have mentioned a lot of celebs. Maybe George, you can tell us the lesson, guys.
Maybe lesson known by one gentleman who was honored that I was very happy that he was on it. It was Pastor Andrew Karaoke from Nairobi Chapel, who runs the Man Enough program there. It's a program when I first came into the faith that I attended to that had such an impact on me. Very similar to MID. The key thing there was, it was very natural. It wasn't, you know, religion. It wasn't saying that you have to be a certain standard. It was a space where men could come and be vulnerable. And that was so impactful. And a lot of men, I think over so many hundreds of men have gone through that program who, not just them being impacted, but their families and their generations have been impacted because of that ministry that he has been running. So that's a man we felt we needed to honor and to give him that platform. And he did mention that he hadn't been honored by anyone.
Exactly.
For such amazing work that he's doing. So that was someone else we chose to honor.
The narrative,
completely. Changing it completely.
Not just celebrating people for being celebs, but celebrating them for the substance that they bring to society and the impact that substance has, And maybe does anyone else?
Yeah, there's especially one guy, Dr. Louis Machogu. He's the current chairman PRSK, Pharmaceutical something.
Society of Kenya.
Yeah, so his impact as someone out there wouldn't really know, but actually
he's a small guy.
He's
a
he's physically small. So what he's managed to do is he's changing how people view pharmacists. Better pay, better work conditions.
Exactly.
So he wants to improve all that from the background. You see, we all don't. We just go buy medicine, feeling sick. You don't really want to see that guy. You just want to see the medicine. But he's trying to bring that out so that people are served better, and the people who are serving the people are also feeling much better. So I think that for me was quite important. It's small, but by impacting that guy, he's going to impact the person who's coming to buy the medicine. The person will get better, and it will also now society also changes.
He's a true universal health care champion. Care. I mean, universal health care champion completely by all strides.
And his story is also quite deep. I mean, he was up, down, and up again.
And it's interesting that you're mentioning stories because you mentioned just profiles. So those are the office titles and job descriptions. But really, during the panels, what really stood out for you from the panelists?
I remember Prince Camp Media, the gentleman who runs Prince Camp, Paul Mukoma. Yes. I think the bigger, in terms of just principles of what they were saying, was around the fact that it really took going through the process. They enjoyed going through the process. They did not resist going through the process. A lot of their stories had that common thread, that yes, they went through the process and emerged from the process without... it could get difficult, but then they stuck to it and said, yes, this is my process. I own the process. I'll celebrate the process and I'll go through it.
And as we're going through this process, something that also stood out, I must say, for me is the partner, the wife, you know. The men, we always think we need to hide and stay by ourselves. But what came out was that after being down and discovering there's nowhere else to go, except sideways to your partner, you open up and then you discover they have the solutions. You're like, so wives, be welcoming, be open to us, but also dudes, don't hold back. I mean, just share. Because you never know where the breakthrough comes. Because that stood out for me.
And for me, it was one, key theme of imprint. There's a role for us men, we have to have an imprint. And, whether you choose to or not, even not to do it is a choice as well, because you're leaving a lack of an imprint. So for me, that was such a key thing, that as a man, there's a role for you to imprint. You can impact the next generation in all that you're doing, and you're always being watched. Whatever you're doing, you're always being watched. When you think you're off the clock, there's no off the clock. You're always being watched. It's a full-time job.
And I know we've talked a lot about MID, and for me, I think the biggest thing that MID embodies for me is changing the narrative, even from a national perspective. Just think about the many scandals we've had. Think about the lifestyle audits. Think about the budget being very depressing, and think about the counties looking at ways of continuing to generate revenue from places that have already been fleeced, and just changing the narrative a bit and showing men that you have the opportunity and you have the responsibility to create more and create value from this land is really such an impactful thing. And for the viewers who are watching, I just want to urge you, if you are a man and if you're a woman attached to a man, just bring them to MID. You've been told about the man caves. Bring them to MID. You will not regret it. That's it for this version of Mwenyenchi Monday. Hopefully you'll see Pastor Angie soon.
Can't promise.
I can't promise after I got burnt the first time. Yeah, so I can't promise. But thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye.
Bye-bye.